Yo, what is up, everybody, man? Welcome back, SaucyTakez podcast. I think this is episode 8. Shout out Kobe Bryant, man. This is gonna be a good one here. We got the same old with the boy Swift, man. Family around here, and we gotta introduce y'all, man, to another piece of family, another member of the family, man. It's Gator, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
What it do, baby? Saucy Takes Nation. The boy Gator, Gabriel, whichever you can do. Gator Gabe, Gabe Gator. The one and only. People look forward to playing me every week. They call it Gator Week. You already know the vibes. And I have 3 championships under my belt. I only really count 2 because one of them was a free league that I didn't really manage. Um, but I do have a belts under my couple of rings under my belt. Can't say the same for Hunter. Y'all got that weak shit coming through the podcast, never won before. And I shout out to Hunter though. He do be repping out here for the Dolphins. But
That's,
yeah, man, just coming through with my takes. They're pretty saucy.
yeah, man. That's why you're always welcome here, man. As long as the take stays saucy and Gator stays Gator, he's always
Yeah,
gonna be welcome, man.
boy
How you
coming through
doing,
with the
Swift?
sauce.
Me, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. Last night's game was kind of rough, but
So rough.
we'll get into that.
Yeah, man, just jump into it right now, man. Tell me why it was rough, man. I actually took the Dolphins money line for the first time all season. I'm lying. I took them against the Patriots. So it don't you can't blame me for this though. But I did take a money line and they disappointed. But you guys can explain why. I saw the whole game, but you guys take it away.
Yeah.
You're
So
more
just
fanatics
a
of them.
just a quick rundown. Dolphins lost 15-27. Tua went down uh, right before halftime, I believe.
Looked bad.
Yeah.
He got flung. He didn't go down. He got flung.
Yeah. It in real time, it looked really bad, and what we did see is that he basically locked up like his fingers and his hands, and I knew immediately that it had to do with his brain.
Got knocked
and
out.
Jesse Morse tweeted about it shortly after that happened, and I'll talk about it. So if anyone's listening, they can kind of visualize what he's talking about. He said, "I have serious concerns about another concussion, this time with decorticate posturing.
Corticate posture.
Decorticate. As I mentioned previously, the main concern if returning from a concussion before symptoms resolve is second impact syndrome. Let's hope not, because that could be deadly." And basically, he actually has a video on this. Dr. Jesse Morse is the fantasy doctor. He goes through every single injury that happens. He's a great follow, great watch.
Yep.
He has a like a 4-minute video talking about this. Basically, that when you get a concussion and it affects your brain basically, and if you get a second concussion, your brain hasn't had time to heal. So it basically swells up even more. And that is extremely serious. So he already got discharged. Apparently, he's on his way back with the team, which I don't know if that's the best idea because he might probably shouldn't be getting on a flight immediately. But hey, I'm not a doctor, So hopefully Tua's all right. I think he should definitely not play next week. He should have the week off. We'll see what happens, but I think if Tua did not get hurt, I think Dolphins are winning this game. What do you think, Gator?
Yeah, so the way that play in general, what you were alluding to it earlier, is that in real time it looks a lot worse than it does. And so don't watch the slow motion because it's just gonna look like a regular hit. But in real time, he got flung and got slammed to the floor, in a really awkward position, which is what caused that. Um, there was something that came out with one of the beat writers here, one of the local beat writers. He went on Dan Lebatard and started his his take on this pretty much went viral after the game due to the injury. Is he was saying that they shouldn't play him because he'd be at risk for injury. And
He
when
was
you
right.
watch that play from last week, um, I never bought that it was a back injury. I mean, maybe to an extent is like soreness, but from the get go, the way that he got up, the way he was wobbly, the way his eyes looked, it looked like his head got rang when he hit the ground last week. And then this week, it's just with any kind of concussion. Brandon Cooks was one of those players a couple years ago where he had, I think it was the last year he was with the Patriots, where they were minor concussions. It wasn't like nasty hits, but he kept landing on his head. And every time you take a concussion, it takes longer to heal if you don't give it the proper time. Because it's
Yeah.
not just the swelling of the brain, but it's just those signals that your brain is sending. Your body needs time to process that. So I think he does benefit a lot from pretty much having kind of like a bye week since they played on Thursday. Um, if he's not full go, like if he's like showing any kind of signs of, you know,
Not being
airheadedness,
ready.
exactly. If he's not meeting all those green lights, I would not play him because they're playing I think Swift told me they're playing the Jets next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think Teddy Bridgewater can manage through that game. I think the defense can carry it through, especially if they're trying to integrate Zach Wilson. Um, I think that's a matchup that they can afford to sit. I think they could also look to see what happens in the upcoming game with the Bills because that's really the contender for the division lead. But
Yeah.
I do
Hopefully we
think,
got y'all.
yeah, if he's not showing everything green, like full green, not even
Yeah.
like
I
kinda,
think
I think they can afford to sit him.
I think they should sit him regardless if they can afford to or not. Even if the Bills go and beat the Ravens, which I hope doesn't happen, as many of you guys know. I think you got to bench Tua. This isn't about right now. This is about like you guys were saying, like everybody down here has been saying, you guys have Super Bowl aspirations. Whether I agree with those or not, that's completely different. But this team is definitely good enough to make the playoffs. And whatever happens after, you never know.
Yeah,
He didn't look good. Honestly, I don't think he looked good yesterday. Something fell off, like that throw he had to Tyreek. He's hit that before. You like the bomb that he underthrew him on. He's hit those before. Obviously, he's never had the craziest arm strength, but like I just felt like he wasn't. Yeah, like I think he might have been rushed back. Hopefully he is fine. We never wish injury upon anybody, and that's been 2 Thursday night football games in a row that have ended with some kind of severe injury. Herbert the previous week with his ribs and whatever was going on, and now Tua. Hopefully that, honestly, it's football, but it sucks that it's like the most
yeah.
important position, I would say, obviously.
I do think the NFL needs to look into Thursday night games and the way they do scheduling. Like these teams need to either be coming off a bye week
Yep.
or have just a regular. They just need to have more time in between because then you have people who play on a Sunday, and then you're gonna rush them to play on a
Yeah.
Thursday.
There was actually
There's traveling, there's practicing, all of that stuff.
there was someone from ESPN, I forgot who, but they came out with a proposition for the NFL basically saying instead of one bye week, there'd be two bye weeks. And
I've been pushing for 2 bye weeks
yeah,
forever.
That should
because
be
the way it would be working is that like there would be a bye week in week 2 and that team would be playing Thursday night football. And it's just a really good proposition. I don't know why they haven't done that,
looked into
but
that.
yeah, but
Especially adding an extra game and not adding an extra bye week,
Yeah.
that's so tough.
I think
I
if they add an extra bye week, it even gives them a possibility because they remember the original proposition was 17 or 18 games. I think they wanted to do. They wanted to add 2 more games. I think
make more
another.
money. If they add a bye week,
Yeah,
they make more money because you're
you
gonna get
extend
people
the
tuning into
season.
different kinds of games.
Yeah, you extend the season. Players are more healthy, and I just think having an extra bye week, you don't lose anything from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, guys, prayers up to Tua.
yeah,
I wish nothing but the best for Tua. Again, I people call me a Dolphins hater just because I don't like them and I'm from down here. But I do I really enjoy this team. I like how it's structured. And I do agree. I think Teddy is, first of all, he's a serviceable quarterback. I don't think he's horrible. He's not Tua. So I think he's gonna get you guys by, especially playing the Jets. But hopefully, Tua stays good and this is no long term like nothing long term. But getting to the game here, man, Tyreek was cooking. He
Tyreek
was show
A.
yeah. Tyreek
Tyreek 8.
14
And
14 targets, 10 catches for 160 yards. Um, he had
looked
two.
like Tyreek,
Yeah, he
man.
had two big bomb plays. One for 64. Waddle, 5 targets, 2 catches for 39 yards. I'm gonna kind of blame this on just the scenario of what happened in the game and Tua getting out. I know there's people saying that Bridgewater did better and all this and that, but like, bro, like Bridgewater is not as good as Tua. Like, let's
He's
calm down
not.
with that.
He's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
On that point, Lewis mentioned it earlier. Tua didn't look the best.
yeah,
But I do think he was looking good. He was trending up because they did start out a little bit slow. If you recall, Edmonds did have that drop touchdown. Um, and he did have that Tyreek interception, that interception where he threw it to Tyreek that was clearly underthrown. He
yeah.
threw the ball late. That's really all it was because he Tyreek had everybody beat. If he throws that maybe
Yeah.
like a second and a half sooner, that's a touchdown. Um, I do think he looked good if you look at the stats. He had 110 through a quarter and a half. He should have had a touchdown. The only sack he took was the one where he got taken out of
He
the game.
and it sucks because he messed up on that play too. He held on the ball for way too long and he couldn't navigate the pocket. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, he got hurt. But it's
yeah.
just definitely tough.
So I do think he would. He They did have a little bit of a slow start, but I think they bounced back after that dropped touchdown, and he was trending up. He started to feed Waddle, he started to feed Tyreek there, and then trying to make too much out of a play, held the ball too long, it got
Honestly, I think the biggest fantasy takeaway from the Dolphins is Raheem Mostert.
yeah,
Besides the
yeah.
Tua,
That's somebody we need to
um,
talk about.
Chase Edmonds, man, honestly, doesn't look like they don't look like they want to use him at all. Sometimes it feels like I feel like when Mostert is in the game, they're feeding him. He looks good. First of all, I want to mention what do you have like 15 for 69 after busting out a couple of nice
15 for
runs.
69.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't look bad. I was contemplating starting him. I was so close to starting him because I had Swift hurt in one of my leagues. I didn't. I kind of wish I did, but how do you guys feel like Swift as an Edmonds owner? I believe in several leagues. How do you feel? Where's your confidence at with him?
I'm slightly worried. I'd say like 7 out of 10.
Okay,
It is only week 4, and we've seen like a
shit can happen.
fluctuation of both Mostert and Edmonds. This is like the first game that it's been a 75-25 split, which is insane. But Edmonds did have a drop in the end zone. So he would have had 2 tutties through the air, but we'll see. We'll see how things pan out. I think the issue with Mostert is just he's very injury prone. He's never been able to stay healthy.
True.
So, if they give him this workload, that's fine. But like it's a dangerous thing to play with
What's shocking to me too is that you guys were down most of the game, and Mostert was still the one on the field.
because they don't want Teddy just throwing it out. They were playing it safe. They were trying to keep Burrow off the
yeah.
field. We actually saw
Yeah,
a great time of possession, 28-31s for Cincinnati, and 60 total plays for the Dolphins, and to 63 for Cincinnati.
which was
So
better than the Bills game.
yeah,
Yeah,
way
I
better
agree.
than the Bills, which was 40-19 in time. So I think they played. It was very good coaching by the Dolphins. They actually had a chance to win this game until Teddy threw an interception late, which Gator kind of called. But
Yeah.
on the other side, I don't really see anything significant. Higgins, some people are surprised, but this is what Higgins can do.
You
Higgins.
I'm
gonna touch
shocked he's
Jamar
this much
Chase?
better than Jamar. I'm shocked he's this much better than Jamar so far.
Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna say you don't want
yeah,
to talk about Jamar a little bit
J-
because he got
He had
you know.
nothing until that bomb.
yeah, Jamar
hmm
kind of got locked up, to be honest.
No, and then week 3, his day was saved very last minute with that touchdown as
A
well.
touchdown. I'm
I don't think
definitely
he had.
concerned on Jamar is higher than
Yeah,
higher than Edmonds, I would say. I think they're about the same.
I'm
Both are
not
sevens.
I'm not really concerned.
I wouldn't be that concerned, but it is
Something to monitor.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
definitely starting him
yeah,
because
because
it's
you got to remember he was top 3 receiver drafted. A lot of people had him in the first round, and you have 2 games now where his fantasy day is pretty much being saved by one play at the very end of the game.
I want to
So
say he actually it wasn't even just the one play. He was getting absolutely clamped and he had 36 and 23. That's 59 yards. So he had 2 catches for
yeah,
32 yards at a certain point. It was just they had to scheme up like a trick play to get him the ball from Tyler Boyd because he wasn't even able to be
He was
next
seeing a lot
meter.
of Xavier Howard.
It was tough for him. He definitely had a tough day. Mixon doesn't look good either. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I understand he had a touchdown, but my God, these running backs look putrid so far.
I kind of,
Longest yard,
I kind
longest run.
of,
7 yards.
yeah, I kind of disagree. I mean, Mixon has been getting like a
The
great,
volume is
a
there.
great, a great volume. I think part of his lack of success in this game was due to just play calling and just like, especially at the goal line, they were just kind of just doing like straight up the middle. Like they weren't like really being creative with the runs.
So
So
anti that. So I
so
believe. Trust me.
he did have a lot of goal line touches. I'm not really concerned with Mixon. Mixon, he's actually looked good. Um, so 24 carries and 4 targets. Like that's RB1 opportunity
Of
right there.
course, you shouldn't be concerned about that. You should just be concerned about his like his yardage and the efficiency in general. It's not just you starting him RB1 the rest of the season. Like who's getting 28 attempts a game? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's just you would like for the yards to be a little better,
for sure.
obviously. Um, anything else you guys have to add to this game?
Yeah, I mean, with Mixon, the concern is just, and I had we've had this discussion about Mixon's I guess elusivity, like his like ability to actually break out of tackles, because I was into question a lot, and they said that because the Bengals O line was bad, he was seeing a lot of people in the backfield. But I mean, even now with an improved O line, I still don't see him getting outside the numbers and getting those edges. That's why I think why they try to run between the tackles a lot. He's their go-to guy, man. He's their short
Yeah,
yardage. He's everything for them. So in terms of volume, I don't think you have anything to worry about Mixon. It's just you can't really expect that efficiency because he doesn't have that. Like he can bust out a player or two, but he doesn't have that like go-to like elusiveness that
breakaway
you
speed.
would with. Yeah, exactly. Like once he gets going, he'll get out there. But for him to get there, it's where he struggles.
I do think this offense should be looking better than what it has because honestly, with the amount of weapons they have, like Mixon should be like their O line should be killing people in the box. Seeing basically double coverage on Higgins or Jamar all the time on one or the other, like things should be looking like that. But getting into it, man, we're gonna do a whole like new segment. We're gonna do week 4 pick'ems, and within each matchup, we're gonna see what we agree and disagree with in the sit starts. And I think it's only fitting that Gator came on here and he's my matchup, not just in one, but in 2 leagues. I
Yeah,
definitely think
man.
I'm losing one of the leagues, probably guaranteed. But I'll let you take it away. Who do you think's winning this matchup between Caustic and Wraith? Your boys Caustic and then Gator's obviously Wraith here.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
no bias.
No
no
bias.
bias. Well, let's look at this one. This is the eye for quality league. Let's look at what we got here. We have, yeah, I mean, feel pretty confident. I have one of my startups of the week here. We'll talk about that later on. But I gotta monitor the wide receiver situation closely because Godwin might be coming back, so I might be able to start him. I definitely feel more confident in this league than the other league, just because you made a crazy trade. Um, or was it this league? This is the one
Yeah,
you got Andrews in, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one I got Andrews
yeah.
in.
This one, I think we're more evenly matched now after that trade. Um,
Is there anybody you're contemplating on your set starts there? Because I see Greg Dortch, Curtis
Dortch
Samuel.
Dortch depends if Godwin is a go or not. Um, Elijah Moore, I'm still sitting until I see it.
Right.
Julio, I mean, if Godwin isn't playing and Julio is, I might start him. The Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson situation, I'm just monitoring it right now. Thankfully, I have other running back options
I'll
that
take one of
allows
those
me
off
that
your hands.
luxury. No, because I need one. I need both if I'm gonna have either of them. I'm
Okay.
not gonna.
I'll
That's
try to
just
go two
like,
for two on live trade.
yeah.
I'll do
I
a
just
I'll do an Akers deal.
I'm fortunate that I have the luxury
Yeah,
to be able to
definitely.
bench them. Because if
James
I had to start
Robinson.
one of them,
The James
Mm.
Robinson pick you had late on is looking golden for you so far, and so is Clyde. So your running backs have definitely
He
been.
was Clyde. Robinson was somebody I was targeting a lot after rounds 10 because a lot of people were on the ETN hype. I have never been on the ETN hype.
He's on
He's
my
a
team,
very
bro, too.
solid. He's a very solid player. He's very fast, but in terms for the NFL, I'm taking J. Rob. Took a speedy recovery. He came back. We know Doug Peterson likes to run the ball, so I knew this man was gonna be fed. It was just up to him to keep the job or not. And
Yeah.
through three
He's keeping
weeks,
it.
through 3 weeks, not only has he taken the job back, but he's made the case that he is that guy. He is him in that
Yeah.
backfield.
James Timothy Robinson. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
For me though, in my set starts, there's a couple of players, honestly. One of them is the person you talked about is Etienne. I'm actually debating starting him over Dylan because they play the Eagles this week. But
Mhm.
Joseph, what would you do different for your boy? Are you starting? I mean, I'm pretty confident my receivers, even though Waddle had a down game yesterday, but still getting Mike Evans, Hollywood, and Olave. I think that looks very nice for your boy. And obviously Mark Andrews first and Lamar stack. And Jimmy G. I want to talk about Jimmy G. How do you feel about Jimmy G this week, man? Because I don't feel good. I
Yeah,
hate Jimmy G this
I
week.
actually don't know how the Niners. I mean, I know they're playing at home, but they're favored to beat the Rams. Yep, I believe it's by
Crazy.
like 2.5 points, like a field goal. Um, I love your team, and I actually have you winning this matchup.
Who do you have, Gator? I have myself winning,
Um,
but I
before
can't.
going into the game, before into last night's game, I thought I was gonna need my wide receivers to show up. I'm
Yeah,
very
Waddle
confident that
definitely
my
helped
running
him.
backs will do the thing, but I needed my wide receiver 2 and my wide receiver 3 to put up 12 plus points, PPR points to have a shot just because I think that Mark Andrews trade really it made your team a lot better. It was already good and now it made it that much like I thought I had a clear advantage. I mean, we're the only tight end people, you
Yeah, I
know?
was gonna say that this is probably the first time and one of the few times this entire year where like the tight end matchup is like going into it seems like a wash. Because like you have Kelsey, I have Andrews. I think I have tight end one, you have tight end two on the year so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely
So
gonna be an interesting one.
this
I
is
mean,
the most even. So before that game, I would have probably said your team just because you're stronger at receiver. But with Waddle's fortunate showing yesterday, because I am a Waddle owner as well. Um, I do have a better shot now.
yeah, definitely Waddle kind of he put up his bad week. I mean, it should have been expected. Nobody's gonna be going crazy every single week. Tyreek had a bad week last week. That is not
Yeah,
going to make me stray away from Waddle. Even if Tua misses time, I will still remain starting Jalen Waddle.
he's too safe. He runs way too many different routes and is
Routes.
utilized
It's
way too
just
much.
he just needs one. That's my whole thing with him is he just needs one, and he also has a PPR floor for the most part. Obviously, it didn't show yesterday, but he's too good to like Mike McDaniel is going to go into the film. I'm going to say one of the very few things I like about the Dolphins. I like some of their players, but I love their coach. I think McDaniel's. I think you guys hit a home run with him.
That was
Um,
my guy. That was the guy I wanted us to get from the
a lot
get
of
go.
people last year, when Flores got fired, there was a lot of players on the team talking shit because they didn't want to see him go, and there was a lot of fans talking shit. They didn't want to see Flores go. On the other hand, I said like in this day and age in the league, man, you need an offensive minded coach. Point blank, period. If you don't have an offensive coordinator who's good or an offensive minded head coach, I don't think you're going anywhere. And you guys got that, so congratulations. I'm happy
Yeah,
for y'all.
that was my top pick from the get go when we not announced our candidates. It was the one, what is it? The one for that the Bills have now. The one that the Minnesota has. We had all of those, and I wanted McDaniel's from the go. I wanted him just because we had even before we got Tyreek Hill. You saw the way that they were using Debo. Tell me
Yeah,
what Debo can do that Waddle can't.
yeah,
They
play
were
running back
literally doing
maybe.
it with they no
Yeah,
because they used him as a running back on multiple plays in the goal line last year.
yeah. They
Brian
put
Flores
and they
when
put
he got in.
Tyreek at the running back in the goal line this game too.
Yeah,
I
Tyreek
agree.
and Waddle have the same skill set as Debo. They're fast, they're elusive, they break tackles, they have great
They're just
hands,
better.
and they're just great players. They're just
Just
athletes.
Yeah, I
And we're seeing a
wholeheartedly
lot more
agree.
players like this who are just all around athletes. You think about Amon St. Brown, you think about all these players. Curtis Samuel, another one. That's why I picked him up. He's like a Mida tool for these offenses where they just want to be able to use these players and put them in different positions.
Obviously, I'm gonna be talking to the right person when I say this, man. Kadarius Toney. That's why I love
That's
Kadarius
another
Toney.
guy. That's
He's
another guy.
basically he's basically great value Debo. I just need him to get on the damn field, and you're gonna see why
He needs to stay healthy, man.
he's
He needs
that
to get
damn
his
good.
body right.
Jumping into the next matchup here, we have the battle of the what is this? The winless?
Yep.
Uh the wah of the league so far. We
This
got
is I don't
Watson
even know
and
what to
Falcon.
call this matchup.
Yeah, this is the snooze fest matchup of the week here.
Yeah.
Uh,
How do
it's
we say
definitely
Mr. Irrelevant?
So we got
This
Team Watson versus Team Valkyrie, Swift versus Solid. Both teams 0
yeah,
and 3. Solid already had Mixon and Higgins play, which got
they
him
played well.
42. I had Edmonds, who got me 10, which, I had to play Edmonds just because of concerns with Dalvin Cook and Swift, but it appears that Dalvin Cook is going to play. So that's good. I'm still fine with the start just because I really don't think Swift will play. Um, but yeah, I mean, I got Solid winning this matchup actually. And I did that so that if I lose and I picked myself, I wouldn't take 2 L's. So I could take a W, on my
Oh man,
pick'ems.
that's not saucy though. That's not saucy. You take
not
yourself or you
coffee
don't take
enough. He's
yourself. You
taking it
don't.
safe. He's playing
Come
it
on, man.
safe.
Get that shit out of here. Get that weak ass bullshit out of here, man. Are you picking yourself or not? Do you think you can win with Taysom now at tight end?
Yes, I do.
All right, man. So are you changing the pick live?
All right,
I'm not taking that weak ass
I'm
shit.
changing the pick live.
Man, put your goddamn balls on the table, man. What the fuck? Gator, man. Speak some sense to this, man. Who do you got?
It's just typical. So here I am taking Solid. I think Swift was put in a really tough situation with his running backs this week. Dalvin Cook, if he's active, you're playing him. There's no question about that.
Yes.
Regardless of if they say, unless they say he's gonna be limited, like super limited, and even then you might still want to start him because if he
Have
gets the goal line looks,
have you actually seen the 2 games in his career where he's had his shoulder dislocated the game before? How he's done the next game?
no, it's crazy.
206 yards in a tutty and 134 yards in 2 tutties. This is the week,
And
guys. Start
you start
Dalvin
him
Cook.
if
RB1,
Dalvin
like the whole week. Like he's about to go nuclear.
if Dalvin is locked in, if he's starting, if he's playing, you're starting him. You should not be
100%.
asking yourself the question. That's what you drafted Dalvin for. Running backs are gonna get nicked, especially this man with his shoulder. Just
He's
wear
gonna
the like our homeboys, the footballers say, just wear the device, man.
yeah, wear
Just
the
wear the
device.
device, dog.
I agree. I
Protect.
think definitely the biggest X factor for you this week, Joseph. I also got solid. I got Valk winning this matchup. But I will say I'm not entirely confident about that pick because I think your biggest X factor is the boy for the Ravens, man. I think Bateman, not just in fantasy purposes, but if the Ravens want to beat the Bills, Bateman needs to go off. And I
Yeah,
have full confidence in Rashad Bateman. I am probably higher on him than anybody in the world should be. I think he is top
probably.
10, top 15 receiver talent waiting to happen. It's just, our offensive coordinator, hopefully he wants to let this man cook because
I
we need
don't.
to get him the ball
He was low key about to be my bust, but I think they have him pretty well ranked.
pretty well
He can
ranked.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back.
Is,
He's too not too much, not too little. He's
yeah.
right where he should be.
Is there anybody, Joseph, you're contemplating sit starting?
Yeah, so
Because
Gabe
I,
Davis actually didn't practice yesterday, which
okay.
is kind of concerning because it's kind of similar to last week, and he did not, he didn't produce last week, so I don't want that to happen again. If he in the event that he is ruled out, I do have DJ Moore ready to
But you should start.
take his spot, and honestly, if DJ Moore does not hit, I'm completely done with him, and I will sell him for pennies.
What do
And
you?
I'll be here.
This is funny because if you look at their matchups, they actually have the two players that are in question for me right now for this offense. Like Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie.
Yep.
What are we thinking? Because Isaiah McKenzie, they're using him very in a very different positions. They're using him in motion. They're using him in like
He's a little
front
gadget guy.
screens. Yeah, yeah. He's like a sticks guy, kind of.
So
Um,
as a Ravens fan, I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown because our corners are well, they were better last week because they were healthy. Against y'all, we were playing too many goddamn trash cans out there sometimes. But so last week, Devontae Parker kind of killed us. We had a rookie corner, Jalen Armour Davis, playing against him, cooked him the entire game, and then we put Brandon Stevens against him and cooked him the whole game. When Marlon Humphrey guarded him, we got a pick and we got 3 turnovers in the 3 drives Marlon Humphrey was guarding him from the third quarter and beyond. So with that being said, I think if Davis plays, whoever Humphrey's guarding is not going to have a good day. Besides Stephon Diggs, you start Stephon Diggs regardless. But I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of confidence in McKenzie this week against us. But you never know, man. Our defense can shit it up like it did against y'all.
Look at some of the people on his bench. He has Rashard Penny there, Jarvis Landry, who's questionable right now. Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson's a lot of people asking questions about this man right now. Some
I'll
people
be
are still, very few people I would say are still in on him, but most people are out.
I'll be honest. Can you go back up to his flex spot real quick? He's starting. Okay, so he's starting Jamal Williams, and his running backs are, if I'm not mistaken, he has Eckler.
Mixon,
Yeah.
Eckler.
He's not benching his RBs. I think for me, if I'm benching McKenzie, it would probably be for Jarvis Landry,
especially
think
with Mike Thomas ruled
especially
out.
with Michael Thomas out this week. Yes. I actually did some. I wanted to do some research, man, because Andy Dalton's playing this week, and he gets a lot of slack. The last game he played against in the regular season that he started in was against Minnesota, and he beat them. He threw for 200 and I believe it was 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the previous 2 times he threw for over 300 yards, either threw for over 300 or had 3 touchdowns. So I am a little bit higher on this scenario than most people are, like on Landry and Olave. I think one of them or both can have decent weeks this week. So personally, I would start Landry against Minnesota, especially if they go down, they got to put up points. They got to throw the ball. So that's just my take. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree. You'd start McKenzie over them, but
I think I would be
that's what I'm
starting Allen Robinson. I think this would be the
okay.
last week that I give Allen Robinson another shot, especially looking at this situation and solid situation in particular. Landry, I think, doesn't have a safe floor, doesn't have a high ceiling, especially with a backup quarterback coming in. I do believe in Dalton. I do think he has a good arm to feed it, but I
Yeah,
think there's going to be inconsistency there that is just too uncertain. You have Allen Robinson, who's a red zone threat. Matthew Stafford has to start getting other people involved. It's not going to be Cooper Cup or die. It's not. He can't expect that team to be successful like that. So I think he's gonna have to start trying to get Allen Robinson involved because they're gonna
yep,
need him. Unless they're looking at bringing Odell back or something, they're gonna need him to step up a little bit because they're gonna need their
something
running
else.
backs are not looking crazy. And Cooper Cup, I mean, the man can only do so much. You look back, the Rams have always had a good wide receiver too. Robert Woods, Odell. You know, when they had Brandon Cooks, they had 3 wide receivers you could start. So their offense can supply it. It's just Allen Robinson just needs to show up. And this
He
week to
needs to
me,
demand those targets, man. I
yeah,
definitely agree with you. I would, yeah, I'd start both of them over McKenzie. So we're in agreement.
yeah.
We're in agreement there.
At the end of the day, you drafted, you invested a certain amount of stock in this man,
Let
and
him
I
prove it.
think week 4, I mean, it's a month in, a month in, you get your sample size. Now, just in this scenario, because obviously if you have better options than McKenzie, you're not really thinking this, but I personally would be giving Allen Robinson another shot here,
I
especially against an in-division rival on prime time.
I agree, and it's Monday night. You always, I
Yeah,
personally, I like to have players play Monday night. I want the game to go down to the wire or the last bit of hope that day.
not only that,
Moving on
players like
here,
to show up.
yeah, man. Moving on here, we got Schledank, aka Hunter, aka Bloodhound. He says he can scan and see the future. Um, he's going up against 3-0, uh, Kakuin Supreme, aka Jesse, aka Horizon. We got a lot of AKAs here, man.
My baby.
Um, Yeah, I'm gonna start this, man, because I think I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who has an upset. I think Hunter wins this matchup. I think the undefeated streak stops here, and my reason for saying that is the RBs, man. I don't know about her RBs this week. She got a lot of thick boys, man. We appreciate the thick boys down there, man. But I don't know. The receivers, the RBs, she's got a great team. I think that Devonte Adams is gonna go nuclear this week. I think he's due for yards and tutties. So that's my biggest takeaway. How do you guys feel about this entire matchup?
Yeah, so actually, I'm with you. I'm on Team Bloodhound.
Okay. Okay.
I think Brees Hall is gonna have a great week. He's going against one of the weaker teams against the running back position in Pittsburgh. Javonte Williams will get his first touchdown. Trust, trust. It's finally gonna happen. And, you know,
We're gonna say this every week until it happens.
yeah,
The week you
we
don't
will.
say it, he'll score three.
And
Watch.
I actually like Jesse's receiving core, but Hunter now has, in my opinion, the best receiving core in the league due to his two trades that he just did: Devonte Adams, AJ Brown, and Michael Pittman.
And Amari Cooper.
And Amari Cooper on his flex spot. So, yeah, I'm on Team Blood this week.
Is there anybody you'd start different, Gator? And who's your pick as well?
Yeah, I'm just looking at this matchup. I'm sticking with the favorite here, Jesse. I think she has a clear advantage at running back. I think Nick Chubb versus the Falcons is a solid matchup for him. I don't expect a negative game script for him to be taken out. James Conner playing the Panthers, who have been atrocious to say the least.
Yep.
He should, even if he's not efficient, he should get plenty of opportunities there. Her wide receiver options are all very stout. I think she's got all the right people in, and same thing for Hunter. I mean, there's
M-
questions about Montgomery right now, Juju, Lazard, all those players have questions right
Montgomery
now.
actually hasn't practiced this entire week.
Yeah, so
So
I
yeah, I
wouldn't
do
I
agree
wouldn't
with that.
even consider. Um, yeah, I think everything's good here. I'm sticking with the favorite in Jesse. Um,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I do think it's a good matchup. I disagree on the Devonte Adams bit.
we'll
I
get
do
to that.
think he is due, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that one right there. And lead us into the next one here. We have El
Yeah.
Carbo.
So we got Team Octane versus Team Loba. Eli versus Flex. Both teams 2-1. Eli has already had Burrow play, giving him 22 and Chase 12. I'm going Team Octane. As you'll hear later on, I have Jay Jettas as a bust this week. I think he will have another down week, which is crazy, I know, but we've already seen it 2 weeks in a row. Jonathan Taylor's going to go nuclear against one of the worst run defenses in the league in Tennessee. McCaffrey is also playing a weak defense. I don't know about the Madison and the flex now that Cook is starting, but you know, I honestly would play Duvernay. I love Duvernay, and yeah.
I mean, I personally have I got Team Loba. I got
Okay.
Team Loba this week. I think I like his team feels safer. As crazy as Claypool, I'm not trusting Claypool. His flex, he El Carbo's flex isn't looking too spicy either. I like Debo this week. I like Terry this week. I like Jay Jettas this week. I like CPAT this week. And we'll see what Z gives you. And Aaron Rodgers, for the first time, I think they might be in like a situation where he can finally get 2, 3 touchdowns. So that's not a bad look. But if you scroll down, my biggest concern is I don't Eli's depth is looking bad, and Tua obviously getting hurt didn't produce too much for him. So that's why I'm sticking with Team Flex here. What do you got,
Yeah,
Gator?
I think I'm sticking with Team Flex as well. Even going into the matchup, I do think Carson Wentz is in line for a bounce back this week. Not to say that he'll get easy, but I think he's gonna have enough volume to put up the points. Um, I had another couple players here. Christian Kirk. I think the Eagles defense. They have been very good, and Darius Slay in particular has been shut out. He was
Elite.
shadowing um Jay Jettis that game, that Monday night game where I think he only had
Three
like
catches.
7. Yeah, he only had like 7 fantasy points, something like that, almost 8. That was mostly Darius Slay, and he wasn't just doing it on him. He was all over the field. That man he's leading that team. They gave him the captain badge this season. Remember he came over from Detroit last year, or was it the year before?
The year before,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, where I think he's hit his full stride. They made him a captain this year, and it's his defense right now. That guy he's a stud. He's a stud.
One last quick question: are you starting Damian Pierce over Zeke?
No, I'm one
No.
of the few. I'm in the few right now that I still believe in Zeke. I still think that man is eating. But we'll get to that one
Yeah, I
in the
I
matchup.
definitely do like Ezekiel Elliott though. And then this is the final matchup of the week. We got Tony Tone Tone, Fuse versus Blurry Clapper, Sear. Um, we have just this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a crazy matchup. This was the toughest one I had personally between picking teams. I ended up going with Tony. This was before the Michael Thomas news, so I'd probably have to look into his flex spot because but
Well,
I'm sticking with Tony. I think he could just go in there, throw in Jeff Wilson, and he'll be vibing on a Tuesday.
this is a good situation because we can talk start sits, last minute subs for Michael Thomas. People who are looking to,
Yep.
their benches or even maybe the waiver wire for a streamer. Um, Fortunate for Tony, he has a Devonte Smith in his flex spot, so he can just slot in Devonte Smith, and then he can flex whoever
Running
he
back,
needs to.
receiver, tight end. Yeah.
Yeah, so he does have Jeff Wilson on the bench. Remember, this is the man who spent 1,000 fab on Jeff Wilson.
He's got to
Time to
start
put
him,
that.
man.
Yeah, this is the time to put him to work. This is what you spent all that fab for, bro. So you can slot him right in. I think Devin Singletary looking very promising. Last week they used him a lot in the
The
passing
passing
downs.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, he moved the sticks a lot for them, so maybe Josh Allen might be looking to build on that. Um, for I do think Tony has a good shot here to win this. I might be picking Tony here. I do think Brady. This is a Brady week where they a get right week for the Bucks.
Yep. I agree.
Um, and are we talking our games of the weeks?
Not yet,
Or
not
the
yet.
Not
rundown?
yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
But I will
So
say, so are you officially picking Tony? Because you said might.
yeah, I'm picking Tony. I'm
Okay.
picking Tony here. I think his players. He has a lot of players who have a lot to prove this week, and I think they're
Yep.
gonna get out and get it done.
That's exactly why I took him. That's the best way you could put it. He's got players who need to show up this week, and I
Yeah.
think they will.
So
Kamara, Sutton, Devonte Smith needs to build from last week.
Brady, like start with
Brady,
the quarterback.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brady. Yeah.
I'm actually in agreement with you too.
Is
I
this our first sweep? This is the first one we've all agreed
yeah,
on.
yeah, and
So
I
this is
will.
officially the underdog of the week is Kevin. We got to name that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Kevin is the official underdog of the
yeah.
week. Go ahead, my bad.
No, all good. I will say that I will start David Njoku over Zach Ertz, and that's just me. But I think if Tony does that, he solidifies this win.
I have actually something to say because it just came across my phone. A little bit of news is that Hollywood, after practicing in full all week, logged a limited practice for his foot.
Mm.
If Hollywood does not play, I hope he does because I need my dog out there, man. I got
Yeah,
his jersey when he was on the Ravens. I'm a Hollywood believer, man. He's from down here, he's from South Florida, baby, showing up. If he doesn't play, I think Zach Ertz is a smash start, and you should feel better about Greg Dortch too,
Yeah.
Gator, if
yeah,
Hollywood doesn't play.
for sure.
I would
Um,
probably bench Miles Sanders if I'm Kevin this week, though. I like some of his receivers.
Yeah,
another breaking news about the two, I think, came a little
Go
while
ahead.
ago. There's no timetable. They're not putting a timetable on his return,
that's good.
As they
which is
should, bro.
which is
As they
good.
should. That's definitely something that you want no timetable on. You just want him healthy.
Yeah, they're gonna take it day by day.
We're gonna go, man. This is what the show's all about right here, Gator, man. We're gonna let you break it off, man, because you gotta start it off. The saucy take section, man. Give us your saucy take of the week at the running back position.
Saucy take of the week, man. I don't know. People still sleeping on my boy. Even his own team be sleeping on my boy. Rashad Penny, man. They got him. They had him listed yesterday at the RB 32. I think they have him at RB 26 now. So he's already gone up 6 spots. I still think he's gonna finish within the top 20. He's got a matchup against the Lions, who can be ran on. The Lions are gonna be without. There you go. The numbers. The Lions are going to be without Amon St. Brown. That's also low key a Jared Goff fade for me. He's one of these players who also hyper focuses his targets. And Amon St. Brown, without him being there, who got ruled out today, I think that's
And
going to,
Swift.
it's and Swift. I think that the offense is going to struggle. I think the way that the Saints, I mean not the Saints, the Seahawks have looked. First, they're gonna have to rely on the run a little bit more. Um, Obviously, Geno Smith is just the game manager, but he has, I think, the lowest target depth for each target. So they're gonna have to rely on this man because they had him yesterday. Like I said, RB 32. Today they moved up, so it shows my confidence is, it
Yeah,
backs my confidence a little bit.
I
So
was this close to putting him as my saucy take of the week. I was actually very very close, but I had to show up because the Etienne slanders gotten a little out of hand, and that's my take, man. They have him currently as RB 38 this week, and they will be playing the Eagles. Well, 39, it actually dropped. So they'll be playing the Eagles. The Eagles are 13th against RBs this year. Most of that is, as you can tell, I think they've allowed the most receptions to running backs this year, them and the Colts. So and their receiving back is Etienne. So I am very high on just Etienne. And even if they get a negative game script, I do think that's kind of where he thrives. And I think this is the Etienne week. I think he'll have a touchdown or two, maybe 5, 6 catches. So I will personally, I think I'm leaning him over AJ Dillon in our league, but also Dillon's playing the Mac Jones
yeah,
Patriots, so it's kind of a tough situation. But
I like
I'm
I like
taking
the
him.
ETN pick, but I think Robinson is their go-to guy in the red zone, man. And I think for ETN to get into that threshold, he needs to touchdown. He needs a touchdown and a couple of plays to get yards. And I don't think that comes this week against the Eagles.
Oh, I definitely a touchdown would be great for him. I think the reason I have him going top 20 is I think he's going to be on the field, so I think his targets and I think he might finish with just 10 points off of just receptions.
Just off receptions. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
So
valid.
whatever else, maybe 40 rushing yards or something like 14, 15 points.
Yeah, I
Throw a
think
tight end out to get.
controlled, but a Teddy I think is what will get him in.
Yeah. Tutty, top 20. I'm not going too crazy, but
Yeah.
he might do it. What about you, Swift man?
Hey, you might not be going too crazy, but I might be. And I'm going, if David Montgomery is ruled out, I'm going Khalil Herbert, RB4 on the week, going against the New York Giants, who give up the third most points to running backs at 22.1 per game, with a quarterback that does not like to throw. They will lean heavily on him. He was the RB1 last week. He is in the top 10 on the season. I believe he will be the RB4 for week 4.
I love me Khalil Herbert. You don't got to tell me. Last pod, I think he's better than David Montgomery as a player. So shit, I'm all for Khalil, baby. Go Khalil. And like you said, I like this pick because, like you said, it's the Giants. Not just are they bad against the run, they're also not a great offense. So I don't think the game script is ever gonna take him out of it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I think he'll still get fed the ball. How do you feel about that pick, Senor Gator?
Man,
A little too saucy?
don't ask me about Chicago Bears players, bro. 'Cause these are this is probably the team I faded the most. Because I had nobody I wanted to take. I think the Lions might have been the team I faded second most because and only because they have him on St. Brown. That was the only Lions that I was taking. And with the Bears, man, I did have some Herbert shares last year. Picked him up on waivers. I do think he's good. I don't know if he's better than Montgomery because I think Montgomery has all the skill sets. I think Herbert just shines when Montgomery is out because he has the lion's share.
Exactly.
When they're both in there, they're both eating, and Montgomery is the one mainly eating. But I think they both fill the roles well. I don't know about a top 5 running back on the week. I think he's gonna have he's in play for like a top 12, like a top 12 to like 8 finish. Because I do think there's other running backs. We've been disappointed on running backs if you invested in running backs, and I think a lot of them
Yep.
are gonna have bounce back weeks this week. They need to show they're the guy. They need to show that they're here to produce.
Yeah, they're definitely due this week. Some of these RBs.
Give us
You know
someone
who I?
who's not due, Gator.
Oh, yep.
Running
Go ahead.
backs
Yeah.
that are not due.
Your fate of the week.
Your fate of the week, basically, is what I'm trying to get into.
So my running back bust.
Yep.
Let's see. My running back bust. I have Antonio Gibson. They have him at I think RB21 right now. RB20. They moved him up one spot from last night. I think he is outside the 36. I think you're in for and this is Antonio Gibson. I'm an Antonio Gibson truther. If you guys know this man, the year that I won, a couple years ago when I won, uh, this
He was a
championship,
guy.
he was my sleeper pick. I picked him in every league. He was my guy. He was like my 8th, 9th round pick. And yeah, I think Antonio Gibson, he's in for an inefficient day. He's touchdown dependent. And I think they're gonna have to throw a lot. So I think it's a Curtis Samuel week. For Curtis Samuel, Dotson, Terry McLaurin,
JD McKissick.
and JD McKissick. So
Yeah.
I don't
So you
think he's
think
gonna have the efficiency to be where they have him ranked right now.
so? If you had McKissick and Gibson, you're starting McKissick.
No, I would still be favoring Gibson, but I just think the running backs is a
Okay,
fade.
got you. I just want to see how saucy that take was about to go right
I
there.
think the running backs are a fade for the Commanders.
Yeah, whatever they are now. Definitely my fate of the week, man. This is gonna come as a surprise to some because I think this is the most waiver picked up player, maybe aside from Herbert. Even then, I think it's probably still him. Jamal Williams. I don't like him this week for the aforementioned reasons.
Yeah, what we just
I
talked about.
know Amon Ra. I don't think this offense is going to be clicking like they're supposed to be clicking. And Seattle has not been horrible against the run. They haven't been great. They actually got shot on last week by CPAT, but I don't think this team. I don't think Jamal Williams is CPAT, and I think he's one of those players. His running back production is basically very goal line dependent, like we've stated. I think definitely more of a. I like Craig Reynolds too, so I think he's going to be outside the top 20.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. I have I think it's a little saucier than that because, Jamal's a backup. I have a starter who's in the top 10 in running backs, and that's Nick Chubb getting single digit fantasy points in week 4, which he has not done. And part of the reason is their matchup. Nick Chubb is going against the Falcons, who are the 27th in fantasy points allowed to the running back position, 11.7 per game. So I'm with that trend to continue this week. I'm not crazy about the Browns, and I think this is going to be the first game he struggles. I do like this game in general, though. I think this is going to be more of a passing game for the Browns with Amari Cooper than it is with Nick Chubb.
Okay, absolutely. Go ahead and tell us your start of the week then, Gator, for receivers.
Oh, my receiver start of the week. I've mentioned it. I've hinted it a couple times already, but that would be Curtis Samuel. They have him as a bottom end wide receiver 3. I think they have him at wide receiver 31 right now, or
27.
he's 27. So they keep moving him up. Hey, these people know something that I know. They were on the same because when I looked yesterday, they had him at what was it? I have my notes here. Wide receiver 31. I think he's also in line for a top 20 finish. I think they're gonna This is part of the reason I'm fading the running backs and more in line with the wide receivers. The Cowboys defense has been stout, and I think Wentz is going to get into a hole and have to throw. That's why I think he's going to have a bounce back game fantasy purpose wise. He's going to have to throw 2+ touchdowns, upwards of 300 yards for them to even try to stay competitive. I think the team, um, they've surprised. They've surprised early on. They got humbled last week, but because they got humbled so bad, I think they're just gonna have that sense of urgency for everybody to perform. So I think Curtis Samuel will finish in the top 20. Would even flirt with top 15 if he gets, a good couple plays. I do think he's going to get a touchdown, whether on the ground or receiving this week.
Absolutely. My start of the week is DJ Moore. I'm predicting a top 10 wide receiver this week.
Think he's back?
DJ Moore is all the way back. I'm trying to get as many shares as possible before this happens.
That's
They have
saucy.
him receiver 32. I think this team is going to realize, man, they need to throw this man the ball. He's their best player outside of Christian McCaffrey. Get your playmakers the ball and just live and die by them. Like, that's how you win or lose. The Cardinals, while they're not a great team, they're not an elite team defensively, and they're not horrible offensively. They can still put up points. They've had some tough defensive matchups. So I think this is his week. I think DJ Moore, you're going to see 100 yards and maybe a tutty or two. That's my prediction. Top 10 receiver this week. Start DJ Moore, guys. Don't fade this man just yet. Just yet.
That's fair. I'm thinking something similar with someone who's kind of close to DJ, which is Chris Olave. I think he's being a little disrespected at wide receiver 26 on the week versus Minnesota. Michael Thomas is already ruled out. I know Jameis is doubtful, correct?
He's not playing.
He's out, and Michael Thomas is out. Olave was wide receiver 31 yesterday when I was looking, or
Yeah.
30, 32 or something like that.
Yeah.
They moved them to 26 after the Michael Thomas news. I still think that's too low.
Yeah, so I believe that he'll be top 15, which, I know before it was probably a better take because he was 31, but I still think it's a saucy take, him being at 26. That's 11 spots.
It's a great take.
Yeah,
And
I had the same thing. Top 15. Good thing they told me that that was their boom of the week.
take.
That was
And
my pick. That was my first one, but then
And who's your fade this week at
my
receiver?
fade out wide receiver, man, I've had to change it a couple times. So before the game, I had Jamar Chase just because I thought he was going to be shadowed by Howard, and I thought it was going to be a Higgins week. We saw what ended up happening. Then I had Christian Kirk, but so we're gonna go with Devonte Adams. Devonte Adams has had to rely. He's right there. They have him at 6. I think he's gonna finish outside the 15th, the top 15. He's probably gonna be around the 18 to 20 mark. I don't think he gets a touchdown. Yeah, Broncos. I think it's a trap game, man. I think it's a low key of a trap game. Derek Carr has been funneling targets to a single player each week, whether it's Waller, whether it's Adams. I don't think he has the skill set to support all the fantasy options he has out there. And I think he's just gonna get hyper focused on Waller or Renfro. And Adams has had to have a touchdown every week to get his fantasy finishes. If he doesn't get a touchdown, he's low key been touchdown dependent for his production.
He's definitely not been good.
Aside from week 1, he's been touchdown dependent. It's one of these players who that's not what you drafted him for.
I'm gonna just really quickly disagree. I think Devonte Adams is gonna go nuclear this week. I think this offense is gonna go stupid. They're 0-3. Their backs are against the wall. If they want to make a push for the playoffs, it's got to be now. I think expect like 30 plus points from this team, and honestly, I think they're gonna blow out the Broncos. That's my prediction for this week between these two games. But my saucy take is like you hinted at is Christian Kirk. Have him listed at receiver 16, I believe. I have him outside of the top 35. We talked about Darius. Actually, I moved him down to 17, so still outside of receiver top 35. Mentioned Darius Slay. We mentioned this team. This team is very, very good on defense. I think this is the biggest test the Jaguars have had. And I think that's why I'm also predicting the Etienne having a big week. I think they're gonna have to dump down and let their playmakers roll. Low key, if you're starting somebody like Zay Jones, this might be a decent game to start him because they're just gonna be targeting the other receiver who's not getting
They're
stuffed by.
involving him more and more every week. That's also
Yeah,
another reason for me.
yeah. So that's my fade is definitely Christian Kirk's. Go ahead about your fade because this is the sauciest man right here.
Yeah, I just gotta make takes that will make people cringe sometimes, and this is definitely one. I'm sorry, Hunter. I know you're a J Jettas owner, but Green Bay will outscore J Jettas this week, and I believe that Marshawn Lattimore will be able to lock him down, and I also believe that the Saints will put an extra person with Marshawn Lattimore helping over the top. So I'm gonna like just predict that teams will take what happened last week and try to replicate it against this team because the Lions almost won. I know they lost, but
They
they
should have won.
yeah, they should
Should have.
have. They should have. So yeah, Jay Jett is outscored by the Green Bay defense.
Shout out Jeff Okuda, man. I know he got hurt and he was a bust his first year. He's been locking shit up this year, man, for the Lions. So shout out Jeff Okuda real quick. I know nobody's gonna talk about him in no fantasy shows.
What's a hotter take? Devonte Adams against the worst wide receiver defense finishing outside the top 15? Or Jay Jettas being outscored
Oh man,
by
definitely Jay
Green Bay
Jettis by Green
defense?
Bay defense, bro. That is
DST. You're wildin' for that
that
one.
was yeah, he's definitely drinking some kind of num num
Jay,
juice right there.
Jay Jettas had his worst game of his career. You think he's gonna follow it up by an even worse game? You wildin'.
Hey, that's the way he's feeling. Now, and we're gonna go to the games of the week, man. It's only right, bro. It's only right I picked my team against the Bills. I think these are two powerhouses in the entire AFC. The Bills, I still think, are the best team in the AFC, and I think the Ravens are not too far behind. I think we're top 5 in the conference. Um, we're actually not favored, and we're at home. I love to see my Ravens plus 140 on the money line for my bets, baby. You know what? I got to sprinkle some on that. Last time we played him was in the playoffs. Lamar got hurt that game. We didn't have the receivers we have now. We didn't have the tight ends we have now. I have Andrews, but likely's been looking better. J.K. Dobbins came back last week. Justice Hill actually can run, unlike every single running back we had before them this season. Drake, Mike Davis last year, Latavius, Devon. It gets me sad talking about those guys. So this is my game of the week. The over unders at 51. I see an absolute shootout here. Um, and I think it'll be surprised. Don't be surprised if the Ravens come out on top. Also, don't be surprised if the Ravens get blown out. I think that's the beauty of this game. But definitely gonna take my lumps here with Lamar going up against the best. I think the Buffalo is best against receivers in the league, or best against quarterbacks in the league in fantasy. But I would love this game. Love this. This should be a
Yeah,
primetime game, personally.
100%, 100%. I'm actually kind of
1 o'clock,
disappointed it isn't.
a fucking disgrace.
Yeah. This would have been my game of the week, but of course, we take turns picking, it's only right that you get your team, your Ravens. But
Sir.
my game of the week will be the Eagles and the Jaguars. And it's crazy, bringing the Jaguars into a game of the week, but Trevor Lawrence he's looked good. Um and Jalen Hurts playing at an MVP level. I love to watch him play. I have him in a couple leagues.
Hmm?
I do believe the Eagles win this game by 6.5. Yeah, I believe it's possible. But this could easily be a shootout. There's. I feel like each team has good offensive weapons.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. The Eagles defense has been looking stout as well. So is this is going to be a nice test for those Jaguars, and take it away with the Chiefs Bucks.
Yeah, man. My game of the week, you already said it, is the Chiefs Bucks. They're playing in Tampa. I think I said it earlier. This is a get right game for the Bucks. It's actually a get right game for the Chiefs as well. After that showing they put up against Indy last week, they had no business losing that game the way that Indy was performing. they just couldn't come up with any points. They couldn't come up with any drives. So the Chiefs have things to prove. They need to find a reliable second option behind Kelsey, whether that's Juju, whether that's MVS, whoever that's going to be. They need a reliable second option, receiving option. For the Bucks, they're getting healthy, man, and they just need to get back in rhythm. They need to get everyone's coming back. Godwin looks like he's on pace to play. Mike Evans is back out of suspension. Leonard Fournette has been as trustworthy as it can be with this offense. And yeah, I think it's a smash for the over. The Bucks also have it's kind of like aside from it being a get right game, they're also playing that whole area got smacked by a fat hurricane.
I hope
Hurricane
everybody's doing
Ian.
well, man.
So they might have a little bit more incentive to try to put up an uplifting performance for that home crowd. So and they did confirm they are still playing there.
One of the few times you'll ever see the spread as even in the NFL. They have no favorite. They're like, you know what? You guys know as much as we do, and that's Vegas. So we'll definitely see, man. This is a great matchup, bounce back matchup, hopefully for both of these teams because they've kind of been poo poo on offense lately. Um, and yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for sticking through another episode. Thanks, Gator, for joining. You know,
Yeah, bro. Happy to be here.
thank you, Swift, for doing your thing, man.
Of course.
And per usual, guys, stay saucy, my friends.
Saucy.